Hey, Paul, thanks for joining me. Paul, I found your channel on YouTube when I was, watching other junk removal companies, and that's why I started my YouTube channel. And I enjoy watching other people do exactly what I do. For some reason, it's kind of fun just to see how others do it. But can you introduce yourself and tell us why you got into junk removal?
Sure. Yeah. I'm Paul, and I am in Iowa, eastern Iowa. So we are kind of buried in snow right now. But um, yeah. Anyway, I have an accounting background. So right now, I'm an accounting manager, and I've been in accounting for uh, 15 years or so. And throughout the years, I've done various different things. I've been a real estate investor. I still am a real estate investor, but you know, 10 years ago or 15 years ago or whenever that was, I was really into buying storage units at auctions.
Okay.
When tenants go delinquent and they go to
Yeah.
auction, and I'm sure you've seen the shows.
Right.
So we thought that was really cool. Myself and my brother-in-law, we would go to these auctions and pay big money for these units and go through it. A lot of it was just trash. And then, every once in a while we'd find a gold ring or silver ring or something like that. And maybe a few other items that you could sell on eBay. Never really
Right.
amounted to a whole lot, but I was always interested in that. I like the thrill of the find. I like
Yeah.
I just kind of like that aspect of it. And here I am now. On the other end, actually, people are paying me to clean it out. So I just think that's so cool. Just like
Yeah.
I just can't believe it. Like, I'm doing the same work, but people are paying me.
Right.
So yeah, and so I started this business back in June. So it's almost been 7 months or so,
Okay. Cool.
and it was gonna be a pressure washing business or a plumbing business, a drain cleaning business,
Sure.
our lawn mowing business, maybe one other. Yeah, I can't recall, but junk removal was one of them.
Yeah.
And the reason is, this inflation is just crazy, you know,
Right.
and you, I feel like everyone should have kind of a side hustle. If you have a job, great. Um, but you should have
Yeah.
a side hustle if you are a W-2 employee, because the 2 and 3% raises are just not going to keep pace. And
Sure.
so, and anyway, I had some free time. So nights, weekends, before
Right.
work, and that kind of thing. And it's been a blast ever since.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. So I guess you kind of got exposed to the storage side of things, and obviously saw how much people collected and had to just pay just to store their own junk until they had to pay to get rid of it to somebody, and decided, hey, I might as well be on that end of it. And plus, you get to keep, what you may want in the process. Have you found any cool stuff along the way, like that you've got to sell on Marketplace or keep or do with?
So as far as back when I was doing the storage auction or storage unit auctions, yeah, we found gold teeth. I thought that was kind of cool. That
Yeah.
was probably the most interesting thing. But now doing junk removal, I actually found at one of my first jobs. It was crazy. I found steel toe shoes, and they just happened to fit me, and they
Wow.
were almost not used at all. So like a two
That's
to two
awesome.
hundred fifty dollar value right there. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
put these suckers on.
Heck yeah.
But yeah,
That's
we
great.
found other things around, to use for ourselves in our household, but
Sure.
uh, 99% of the things we find, we just give away. We just donate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Makes
I
sense.
feel like that's just a way of giving back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it keeps it in, in use hopefully longer and out of the landfill and saves you hopefully some money on dump fees. And leading into that, do you mind if I ask, what are you guys paying out there in Iowa for dump fees for like household waste type stuff?
Yeah, so the first 600 pounds is $14 and
Okay.
$15 if you're outside of the city, but within the county.
Yeah.
And then after that 600 pounds, then it's 50 cents for every 20 pounds. So it gets a little pricey after that first 600 pounds.
That's interesting.
But most, I would say 80% of the jobs are going to
Yeah.
be under the 600 pounds. My
Right.
jobs anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Household trash is not very heavy usually.
Right. Yeah. And what size trailer are you running?
So I've got a 10-foot dump,
Hmm.
and it's only 5 foot wide, 10 foot
Okay.
long, but I've built up the sides. So the
Yeah.
sides are about 4 foot high. And
Right.
so it's close to 8 cubic foot.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I get a lot of comments like, wow, don't you want a bigger trailer? Don't you think you need a bigger trailer? But to be honest with you, and I had my doubts too when I bought it, but to be honest, 95% of my jobs, everything fits in one load.
Yeah.
So it just,
I mean, it's amazing how much when you play Tetris and break things down or stack it
yeah,
right, how much you can fit. And unlike a pickup truck, you got to worry about stuff falling out the sides or banging the
yeah,
window. Like, you can really pack those things well. And I think it's surprising, because you just keep putting stuff in it and compacting it. Like
yeah,
I jump on my trailer a lot, and
yeah.
yeah, you're right. And you're pulling that with a first gen Tundra, is that right?
I am. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's an oldie, but a goodie. So yeah, I do, and I do keep the back of my pickup
Yeah.
empty for overflow. I don't like to advertise that. I just like to,
Yep.
use that as just in case, and I do use it quite
Right.
often. So yeah, but it pulls just fine.
Yeah.
Um, maybe some beefier brakes. I don't have a brake controller on my truck, so maybe I should be adding that, just in case.
Yeah.
Um, but
I
yeah,
mean, it
I
just
do.
depends if you're hauling household stuff, that stuff isn't very heavy. It's really when in my experience, you get into like dirt and like shingles, which I've never done shingles. I've just heard that they're
Yeah,
really heavy. So
yeah. Oh,
uh,
definitely.
I
Yeah.
had a 2004 Tundra with that 4.7 V8, and that was
Oh,
an
okay.
awesome truck. I loved it.
Yeah, yeah. They're tough. They're tough trucks. Except for I've
Yeah.
heard the ball joints are the weak spot. So I need to probably replace
Gotcha.
those ball joints before they go out. But
Yeah. No truck is perfect. That is for sure.
yeah, yep.
What do you find are some of the challenges so far in your market? Obviously, you're in kind of the Midwest right now. We're having a hard winter, and so I imagine it's a bit slower right now.
So I have noticed that it has slowed down. Um, Probably 2 or 3 weeks prior to Christmas, and then up through
Mhm.
now. It has been slower. I imagine it will pick up, once people start getting their tax returns back,
Right.
probably mid-February or so. Uh,
Yeah.
People start getting prepared to sell their houses and that kind of thing. But it's kind of hard to
Yep.
compete against Santa Claus. It's
Hey, and you can't control Mother Nature too when we get a
right.
ripping storm like this.
Yeah, yeah. But I do stay somewhat busy. I have I call them commercial contracts, but just work with apartment complexes. And so that
Yeah.
is more routine work to keep the cash flow coming in. And
Awesome.
that's been awesome. That's been great.
Let me ask you about that. So, are you cleaning out apartments where people vacated but didn't clean their own stuff out, or is it also like people are dumping at the trash enclosures, their mattresses and couches, and you're doing some of that?
A little both. Yeah, I would say the more consistent revenue is the dumpster enclosure cleanup. So the
Hmm.
illegal dumping. You know,
Yeah,
you've got apartments in town, and every town has these kind of apartments where, contractors or, just I don't want to put contractors
sure.
down, but
Yeah,
people know, hey, I could dump here and no one's going to say anything,
right.
that kind of thing. Well,
Yeah,
works out great for our industry.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just more consistent weekly or monthly revenue that can kind of keep your momentum going.
So did you go into the office and introduce yourself with some business cards or donuts and say, hey, this is what we do? Or how did you get those connections?
That's crazy. I haven't done that yet. I have what I've done because I said that I was, I am a real estate investor. I just started
Yeah.
emailing property managers that I know within the
Oh,
business,
cool.
and then one of my larger contracts, I found or they found me from a yard sign or a bandit sign.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
So
just
it's funny because I've been thinking about doing bandit signs. I haven't done them, and I think I should. I see them all over from everybody else, and I'm just like, I don't know if I want to, do
yeah,
that. But I've heard they're effective. In your opinion, do they work?
absolutely. It is the
Okay.
number one thing I would recommend doing to get
Wow.
jobs.
Cool.
Well, maybe number two, because number one would be putting your name and number on your trailer. Of course
Yeah.
that, but
Sure.
but
Sure.
number two, as far as effectiveness, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could just say junk removal and your phone number.
Have you
Um,
ever gotten a call from either a property owner or the city saying, "Hey, you got to move this stuff"? I mean, they're all over, but I'm just
yeah.
curious.
Well, I try. Well, I don't put them on private property.
Yeah.
I put them, kind of like on. I try to find like city property or, you know,
Right.
property where no one's gonna care. And I
Yeah.
have gotten, out of I've probably gotten hundreds of calls. Um, but
Wow.
out of all that, one call came from one city in my area. In my area, there's like 4 or 5 cities all clustered together, but one of the cities called me once and said, "Hey, you can't be doing this. So please
Yeah.
take out your signs." I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, they're getting noticed.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
how about getting reviews? Are you using Google My Business like local, or do you have a Yelp account, a Nextdoor, all the above?
I haven't done Yelp yet. I've heard of mixed reviews about Yelp.
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
recommend it.
okay. But I do have a Google My Business or
Right.
Google Business Profile, whatever they call it now,
Yep.
and I do have a Nextdoor account.
Hmm.
Of course, I do Facebook posts too, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's I would say Nextdoor is a big source of leads also.
Yeah. I find that Nextdoor can be great. I've definitely done work off Nextdoor. In my area, if somebody needs a dump run and they post that within like, an hour, there's usually 4 or 5 people on there. And I know the same people, that are like, hey, I'll do it for, this much, or hey, call me PM sent, whatever. And
Yeah.
so you kind of got to be one of the first guys on there. And you almost want to like refresh your search feed and hit like dump run, junk removal, just a couple keyword searches. And then you can see if any of the people in your area are posting about that and respond right away. Because by the time you're a fifth, sixth, seventh person, right, they're overwhelmed with options, and you're probably, maybe not going to get it. But I
Yeah.
do definitely get work from Nextdoor.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I would say though, make sure to just even if there's already 5 people posted on there,
Mm-hmm.
post it anyway because
Yeah,
not only are you talking to that person, you're talking to everyone else who's looked at that post.
yeah, and
Yeah.
for us that are doing it on a maybe more professional basis, I know maybe not full time, but we're fully insured, you know, I always like to put that because a lot of the other people are just like, hey, I got a pickup, I'll do it for, you know, $50. And,
Yeah.
you know, some people want the fully insured, you know, like an actual company. And so I think that I always put that in my comments like, hey, we're licensed and insured, you know, we're local. And I think that that helps kind of stand out in the comments.
Oh yeah, great advice. Yeah, for sure. I agree.
What about, have you ever done any Craigslist posts or ads? Like, I think they're $5 to post a day, you know?
I do. I've only gotten, I don't know, 3 or 4 jobs off of that. So
Yeah.
it's few and far between. I'm still gonna put it out there just for, just because it's only $5.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the same way. I haven't seen a ton of ROI on that. It's kind of hard to track. You know, you ask people where they find you, but I don't get a ton of work from Craigslist. So I haven't spent much time doing that. Shifting gears a little bit, have you ever done Facebook ads or Google pay-per-click ads?
I have not done Google pay per click. I am nervous about that. I don't.
I get it.
Yeah, but I have done Facebook ads. I've done Facebook posts and then
uh,
ads,
yeah.
and yeah, I don't really see a huge return on the Facebook ads. I don't know, but what are you
I
seeing?
haven't done Facebook. I have dabbled, and by dabbled, spent about $500 on Google over a couple of
Okay.
months, you know, setting up a few small campaigns, $10, $20 a day, running that for a couple weeks. Um, I definitely got more calls and I got
Okay.
clicks, but you know, they're anywhere from $5 to $12 a click. And so if you're not closing enough jobs or available to do the jobs when people want them with a day job, you know, it's tough to know if it's a good ROI. I think it's there, and if you really want to pick work up quickly, it's definitely a good way to ramp up. And I was talking to somebody else the other day, and they were saying, you know, it's not like even if you spent, you know, $150 to get or land a job, and let's say that that's all the profit of that one job, you know, so you broke even, but you got a customer. And so maybe that first job wasn't all that profitable after the cost of marketing or acquisition, but it's the second, third, and fourth job you might do, or they tell their friend, you know, because you did a good job. And so I can see value in growing your customer base, especially in the beginning that way. And then as your word of mouth and like just overall awareness in the community grows, I think that comes back to you, but it just may not be immediate.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely have to have your prices all dialed in before you start doing that. For anyone that's
Yeah.
starting out, I'd
You can
I'd
spend
I'd
money
recommend
quick.
waiting. Yeah, I'd recommend waiting until you get your prices figured out first.
Yeah, and it's tough because I mean, Google pay-per-click is such an art and there's a lot to learn there. And I'm by no means not even an amateur. I'm like below amateur. So it's like, you know, just kind of searching my way out in the dark, like, oh, what's going to work here? And I think, you know, if you have some time to educate yourself or hire somebody to do it, which of course is going to be more expensive, maybe those are better options. But just kind of going in blindly, you can spend money pretty quickly on there. Um, as far as you talked about your customers with the apartment complexes, obviously you've got your normal homeowners. Have you ever gone into convalescent homes and advertised your services there?
I've had one job in a nursing home,
Mhm.
and that's been it. And it was crazy because I don't even know like how I got the job. They just said it was a referral, but I can't figure out like who it was referred by. But um,
Yeah,
I think we did a good job. I just, and I suppose we could market harder on that,
yeah,
but we haven't.
yeah. I haven't as well. I'm really bad at like probably marketing, I guess. I guess YouTube I do more of, but I know that Chris with clutter reduction, junk removal in Florida, he does a lot of convalescent homes down there, and like, man, that keeps that guy really busy. And
No kidding.
I hadn't even thought about it before I watched his channel, and then I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of turnover. You know, they're generally
Yeah,
older, they can't move their own stuff, or they're gone, sadly, and so you know
right.
the family's cleaning it out. They don't want the stuff, and so
Very
I
true.
feel like that could be a gold mine, for both of us. I
Yeah,
have not tapped
that's
into
a
it.
great idea. Yeah. So
Um,
does he just go in and just drop
yeah,
off his cards and yeah?
he does, but he's really good from what I can tell at like networking with people and like setting appointments and getting in front of decision makers. So it sounds like they have meetings, like once a week, and then he'll just say, "Hey, can I pop in and introduce myself for 5 minutes and get on your vendor list?" Because I guess they have a vendor list for all sorts of services. And then once he, introduces himself and establishes that relationship, I think he obviously presents himself very well and gets a lot of calls from that. So, really smart guy. I think he's really good at networking with people. And, convalescent homes certainly have a lot of volume of junk removal, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of shifting gears a little bit again, where do you want to take your business in the next couple of years?
Well, I mentioned earlier that I'm in accounting. So
Mhm.
ideally, in a couple years, I'd like to be full-time junk.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not sure what that looks like, but
Yeah,
that's kind of the end goal is, you know, I just I really do like being an entrepreneur and running a small business and being more in control of what jobs you take and what your
yeah,
pay is and who you work with. So I like all that. I like
yeah,
networking with people like you, and
yeah.
it's been a blast so far.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, I think starting small with the side hustle, getting your lessons learned while you have the stability, of course, with the family too. You got to look out for them and take care of them. But then, at a certain point, you have to make a decision when you're getting enough calls. And it's like, man, do we make the leap? And um, I'm there with you where I have a good day job. And, of course, the thought crosses my mind of like, okay, at what point might I ever want to do this full time? And, um, so you have to weigh those options out. With
And
your
what do
kids,
you?
do they, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask, what do you do for a living?
I work in the
You're full time.
utility industry. Yeah, so I
Okay.
have a background actually also in real estate. I sold real estate for a while, and before that, I was a contractor of the utility company out in California. And then I now work in another business in the utility field, and we basically do real estate consulting for the utility companies and energy companies, pipelines, but mostly electric and gas kind of clients. And so I'm behind a desk. I'm actually at my office now, which is cool. But this is where I spend most of my time. And
Yeah.
so
Very
doing the
cool.
junk removal is fun because it's physical, and I get to
Yes.
be, out in the community, not at the same exact desk in front of computers all day,
Yeah.
like I think a lot of us are. And so it definitely hits a different part of my brain that I enjoy,
Yes.
and the customer service is fun, and then the creativity with YouTube and marketing is enjoyable to me. So yeah, it's
I
something
agree with all those, man. I agree with all
that,
those. I'm right there with you. So
yeah. Well, it'll be fun to see where we're at, like, check in 6 months or a year and
oh
see where we
yeah.
both are, and
Yeah.
yeah, going back to kind of, working on weekends and evenings, do your kids ever get out there with you, and do they show much interest in this?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. My son, he absolutely loves it, although he has a broken leg right now from playing
Oh,
hockey. So so he's not doing much junk removal, but yeah, the other kids will help out, and I'll ask them to, if I already know the job, if I already know exactly what I'm going to be getting,
right.
yeah, I'll bring them.
Sure.
If I don't know what I'm getting into, I definitely won't bring the kids because it,
Yeah.
it just, I don't want to be in a weird situation.
Right.
Um, but I've picked up a couple of mattresses and I've brought my 13-year-old daughter to help me
Yeah.
carry them up stairs from a basement. So,
That's awesome.
but yeah, I have a supportive family, have a supportive wife. My wife has helped out, jumped in and helped out, and
Great.
so yeah, it's been great. And then, of course, I think you do solo, right? Mostly.
Yeah, I mean, I have some friends that'll help out in a pinch, but yeah, I pretty much do solo because in California, you really can't be an independent contractor or hire independent contractors very easily with the laws out here. So having workers' comp on employees is pretty prohibitive unless you do it full time.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. I do solo as well, but I'll ask my wife or kids to jump in, and then once in a
Yeah,
while, with bigger jobs, I'll
yeah,
actually contact another junk company to
yeah,
to help out, because everyone in this industry knows, like, the
yeah,
toughest thing is getting the customer, getting the job. And
100%.
so I think everyone is willing to help each other out when there is a job,
Yeah,
and they're, they know they're not going to get the lion's share of the pay, or at least
sure.
it's going to be 50-50 somewhere
Yeah,
around there.
yeah.
But
I mean, I
yeah.
think partnering with, my parents ran a business for 35 years that they started and ended up selling to one of their, I guess you could say a competitor, but ultimately was a partner that we shared work with them. They had certain equipment. They owned a printing company, my parents did. And we owned certain equipment. And so like we'd send jobs to them to finish or they'd send stuff to us to
Yeah.
mail and vice versa. And they end up selling their company to this company. So you never know who you're gonna become friends with and then maybe partners one day. But I
Yeah,
think sharing
exactly.
work is great because I've done the same thing. Like a customer will call me, be like, "Hey, can you do this tonight?" It's like, no, it's just me. Like I don't have the availability or I'm at my
Right.
job. But it's like
Yeah.
call this guy and he'll take care of you. And then like you throw each other work that way, which is cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What advice would you have for yourself if you were starting out again? Like, would you do anything differently knowing what you know now?
That's a great question. I kind of drug my feet on the Google business profile a little bit. I should have,
Yeah.
I should have done that a little sooner. So I didn't do that, for the first 3 or 4 months, and then I finally did it. So I would definitely do that earlier or sooner. Um, Insurance. You brought up insurance earlier.
Mhm.
I learned a very valuable lesson on insurance. Oh, nothing crazy, but I didn't really think insurance was necessary in our line of work, because it's
Sure.
just all junk, right? That was
Right.
my thinking.
Right.
But totally wrong, right? Because I wasn't thinking about it from the customer's point of view. The customer is paying a premium
Hmm.
over the $50 guy on Craigslist, and
Right.
what do they want for that premium? They want someone that's insured. They want
Yeah.
to feel, like you're professional and safe. You're handling things
Yeah.
safe. So I got that after I lost a potential $1,500 job.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So I'd gone over, given a quote, and we were all ready to do it. And then she asked, "Hey, are you insured?" Like,
Okay.
oh.
Yeah.
So then like the next day,
Yeah.
I got insurance. I'm like, yeah. And then I reached back out to her. She's like, nah, sorry, I've already gone
Yeah.
with someone else. So
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Yeah. So I would definitely recommend to myself, hey, get insurance from day one. Start your
Okay.
business profile right away,
Yeah.
and learn pricing quicker. I mean, that's another thing. Like, that's just crazy. I mean, I think we all have to go through it. Like,
Yeah.
like, in the beginning, I would give out these crazy numbers, and of course I wouldn't get any jobs because I didn't,
Yeah.
you know, you just don't know until
Yeah.
you have like a couple months of experience at least of giving
Right.
quotes.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I lost money on multiple jobs in the past, it, and so pricing is really key. I mean, of course, the customer was happy, but they didn't know any better. I mean, they weren't trying to take advantage of me. I was just naive and new, and so I was like, I'll
Okay.
do it for $400 for this dirt job, and I paid like 460 in dump fees because it was wet.
Oh,
It was so heavy, and and I like worked for hours on it, and my back was so sore the next day I could hardly walk. I was like, man, that was not worth it. But you live and learn, and it's like, okay, now I know dirt's super heavy, and now I know
yeah.
how I would do that differently. And
So do you do dirt? Do you still do dirt?
I do,
Or
I
would you?
will. I will. I still need to learn how to price it because it's hard to estimate
Yeah.
when you see a pile, and it's like, especially from photos. Now I won't estimate a job or give a quote from photos if it's dirt. I will if it's like, hey, here's my garage. I want everything gone, because I
Sure.
can kind of see like, oh, okay, representative, like there's a bike, so I know how big this is or whatever. But when
Yeah.
it's a pile of dirt in a photo amongst like a field or grass or a driveway, it's really hard to get an idea of how heavy and or large that is. And so now I'll go visit it in person, and I'm getting better at it. But um,
Yeah.
and if it's a big job, I'll probably rent a machine to help, like a Bobcat. But for the most part, I'm just hand shoveling and putting it in the trailer, and that's okay. I don't mind doing labor, but it's always better when you make a little bit of money when you're working 6, 7 hours with your shovel. So, but you're right. You just got to go through the learning curve and then you figure it out. And I feel like my confidence from today versus when I, first started it's so much better because I've lost money, made money, and figured out like, okay, this is how I should price. I think most of my jobs now I price pretty well. But I try to be, under the competition a little bit, maybe 20%. If the competition's like a big company with a full staff, and like a full truck. I mean, for me, I think I provide just as much value to the customer unless they need it done faster or sooner. Because of my day job, I can't typically accommodate like a rush job, but
Sure. Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally get that.
Yeah, it's and people ask like, how do you afford your F-350? It's not my junk job; it's my day job.
Oh.
I'm taking a loss on the
Yeah.
company for the first, probably couple years to pay that truck off. But the way I see it is that it's an investment, and that loss kind of passes through my income. And like, kind of talk to my accountant about like taking
Hmm.
a depreciation hit on that and how that's going to affect my taxes for my day job. So it's not like I'm rolling in the dough from junk removal because I'm just not doing that much work. I want
Yeah.
to be, but I have the income from my day job that I get taxed through the roof in California on. So I'm like, I might as well buy some
Yeah.
equipment and we'll own that stuff and it'll be an asset for us that we can depreciate. So, um, yeah, just I try to be honest with people about like what who I am, what I do, because like it doesn't make financial sense right now for the business to own that truck, but for me to own it and the business to have that as a tool, it kind of does make sense if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And we have in our state, there's like a cutoff of like, okay, if your truck is X
Hmm.
big,
Hmm.
you have to register with the DOT,
Right.
and then you have to go through all these inspections,
Yep.
and I just don't even want to deal with that. So I decided to go with the smaller truck. And I don't know
Yeah.
what the cutoff is. It might be I think it's
What,
perhaps like a 350, maybe dual
yeah.
wheels. I'm not sure.
So I know
But
I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe if you're under 26,000 GVW between your truck, and that's combined truck and trailer or truck only, um, no air brakes, and there's a few other requirements, I believe, then you're okay. So when I bought my dump trailer, I bought a 10K rated trailer. And so total, that trailer can only weigh 10,000 with, the equipment it is. Because I bought it with my Tundra thinking, okay, that's the max tow on my Tundra. I don't want to
oh,
load
okay,
that thing.
yeah,
And I wasn't thinking that I would get a bigger truck, but now I'm kind of glad I didn't because the combined weight, like my truck's rated for 11,499. So
okay.
between the two of those, I'm at 21,499. So I'm under that 26,
So you're still under.
Yeah, so I think that I'm okay. Light me up in the comments if not, and you know better, because I don't want to get in trouble, but I believe that's my understanding of it. So
Yeah, I think ours is probably more stringent, or I don't know. I find that crazy, but
yeah,
yeah. Anyhow,
it's a fun business, man. Well,
yeah.
do you have any other final thoughts, or for people that are thinking about getting into business, just do it, or
I would say just jump into it. I mean, my first job was with my son, and we did it with our minivan, believe it or not.
Nice.
And I didn't even know how much we were going to get paid. I just wanted to do a job. I just wanted to do one job. And I said, hey, I will come over and we'll help you take care of this. And we went over there. We didn't discuss price or anything.
Sure.
We loaded up the minivan. They had a projection, one of those large projection TVs. I didn't have any dolly, no tools with me. So it was crazy. Like believe it or not, the customer had a 4-wheel cart.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that even happen? So like I used her 4-wheel cart to roll it down to the minivan, and we got it in there, and we just barely fit it in. And and they were like, hey, how's 130 sound? Like, I'll take it. I mean, it was like 10 minutes of work. They helped load. So I was like, yeah, hey, I'll take whatever you're going to give me.
That's awesome,
but
man. Yeah.
I would just say jump right in, be persistent, be patient, and find those reoccurring revenue items like through realtors or property managers.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, great advice. I really appreciate you coming on and chatting with me today. We'll definitely link your YouTube channel below and your information if people are in it's the Cedar Rapids or Iowa City general area?
Both. Iowa City, Cedar Rapids. Yep.
So hope to send you some work if anybody sees this video and needs junk removal in that area. But I really appreciate your time, Paul, and getting to know you, man. It's been fun.
Cool. Thanks, Russ. Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Bye.